Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 Wege Prize Awards, coming to you live from Ferris State University's Kendall College of Art and Design in Grand Rapids, Michigan, USA. My name is Gail DeBryan, and I'm chair of the Collaborative Design and Master of Arts in Design programs here at KCAD, as well as their Sustainability Officer. To everyone in this room, and to all of you tuning in from around the world, thank you for joining us. For over a decade, Wege Prize has empowered college and university students to collaborate across disciplines and envision game-changing solutions to complex, layered, wicked problems facing our world today. While today may feel like the end of a 9-month design journey for many of our teams, it's really just the beginning. What started as simple research plans have grown into fully realized prototypes, and in some cases, into emerging businesses, all driven by a shared goal to create a positive impact on our communities and our planet. In today's presentations, we'll explore how these bold ideas challenge us to rethink the way we produce and consume. Instead of a linear model, take, make, and dispose, these teams are pioneering pathways toward a circular economy, one that is regenerative, restorative, and intentional by design. And finalists or not, the true success of Wege Prize lies in each participant's ability to bring their ideas to life, to evolve their concepts into real-world solutions, and to continue growing as change makers long after the competition ends. In our 12 years, we've encountered many unique and inspiring ideas that have capitalized on the momentum gained during the Wege Prize to evolve beyond the conclusion of this program. You may remember Claudine Kizmanzi from last year's winning team, Fruity Fresh. We're happy to report that with their prize winnings, they have successfully built their charcoal cooling facility and have reported helping farmers reduce their fruit and vegetable spoilage by 90%. And we're very excited to share that Anthony Alalio, last year's second place team, Senene Farm, is here with us today. After participating in Wege Prize last year, he continued to share his experience addressing malnutrition in Tanzania, mentoring a team of students who have now become 2025 finalists, Team Ag Press. Having presented virtually from Costa Rica last year, we're so happy to be able to welcome him to Grand Rapids here today. Many other past participants have carried their passion for collaborative problem solving and circular economy principles into new ventures and established organizations, extending Wege Prize's global impact well beyond the competition. And now we have the privilege of hearing and learning from the next set of soon-to-be Wege Prize alumni who found the courage to reach outside their comfort zones, dared to pursue the seemingly impossible, and found the humility to work not for personal gain, but for the future of their communities and for us all. This year's 5 finalist teams have spent the last 9 months collaborating, researching, prototyping, and revising their own compelling and realistic solutions to wicked problems of their choosing to present to you today. But before we get started, nothing you see here today would be possible without the continued financial support of the Wege Foundation. For over 50 years, the foundation has been planting seeds that develop leaders in economic ecology, health, education, and arts, while enhancing the lives of people here in West Michigan and around the world. We are beyond grateful for the Foundation's leadership and support, and we look forward to continuing the important work of Wege Prize in 2026. I'd also like to thank KCAD and its Wege Center for Sustainable Design for supporting Wege Prize from the beginning. This competition has been shaped by the creativity, experience, and perspective KCAD brings to the table as a College of Art and Design. And we also want to thank KCAD President Tara McCracken, who has been a strong advocate, ally, and champion for Wege Prize during her time here. While Tara's presidency concludes this year, we are grateful for her collaboration and look forward to working with her in new ways moving forward. And last but not least, we thank every single student who participated in Wege Prize 2025. Regardless of your standing in this competition, your ideas hold significance. Your efforts are invaluable, and the teamwork, leadership, and empathy you've demonstrated are exactly what we need to overcome the challenges before us today and those that lie ahead. So before we begin, I have a few more notes for the day. Cheering is welcome. If not here, then please cheer on social media and use hashtags KCAD and Wege Prize when you do. Be sure to connect with us by following at Wege Prize on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and by following the KCAD Wege Center for Sustainable Design on LinkedIn. We also have a Wege Prize LinkedIn group you can join to connect with former participants, judges, and other folks around the world. Although applause is encouraged, we also ask that you please silence your cell phones to avoid interrupting the event. And if you're noticing the judges on cell phones, it's because this is a methodology for sharing information between them as they are working on judging your work. If you need to access the Wi-Fi here on campus, you can do so using the network KCAD Guest. The login credentials can be found on signs around the room. There are restrooms located on this floor. There are signs in the hallway to help guide you, but please don't hesitate to ask one of our staff if you need a hand. There'll be a 10-minute break after the third presentation for everyone to stretch and refresh. And finally, this is an accessible virtual event. We are pleased to offer live captioning for today's presentations. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our MC, Bridget Clark-Whitney, President and founding CEO of Kids Food Basket, a grassroots community organization that nourishes children to reach their full potential. Please help me give a warm welcome to Bridget.
Great job. You too. There we go. Thank you, Gail. It's great to be back in person for another Wege Prize, and I can't wait to see what our finalist teams have in store for us today. While our focus may be on the finalists, we'll start by engaging all who have engaged and celebrated with Wege Prize. Over 90 teams representing 140 academic institutions in 41 countries around the world. This year's competition was by far the largest and most competitive yet. Driven by an interdisciplinary spirit, this competition empowers participants to integrate diverse perspectives into their work. At each of the 4 phases, teams benefit from insightful, personalized feedback from a panel of expert judges, and it is this hands-on, iterative approach that continues to elevate the quality and impact of the ideas we see each and every year. So, let's meet our core panel of judges. These dedicated professionals each bring unique expertise to the table and have given an enormous amount of time and energy to provide our teams with focused feedback and guidance throughout the competition. While we certainly want your applause, please hold until the end. So first, please welcome our new judge this year, Scott Welch. Scott is the principal and founder of Global Bridge Builders, a firm focusing on organizational development, cultural transformation, and inclusion, providing services to enterprises across the globe. He is also the founder of the Mosaic Film Experience, an interactive high school media experience focusing on creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, and career preparedness. Welcome, Scott. And joining us virtually from Edinburgh, Scotland, is founding judge Colin Webster, who has been with us from the beginning. Having worked with the UK-based Ellen MacArthur Foundation for over 10 years, Colin creates resources for universities and businesses, designs courses and workshops, and creates podcasts and videos about the circular economy. Our returning judges here today are Christopher Carter is an educator, a seasoned animator and storyboard artist, and a highly regarded sculptor whose work has been featured in numerous museum and gallery exhibitions and private collections. He is also a trustee of the Wege Foundation and the designer behind the Carter Project, an innovative live workspace meets sculptural installation in Miami. Alicia Garmalevich, co-CEO and founder of Materium, a platform providing open data and AI to accelerate the development of bio-based materials. She is also an associate professor of the circular economy at the Universidad de Santiago de Chile and an associate fellow at the University of Oxford, specializing in circular economy, business innovation, and data-driven approaches for bio-based materials research and development. Shel Martin y Pardo is a writer, research, and professor based in Spain. Shel is a founding member of the NGO, the Cascade Collective for Cultural Sustainability, as well as a professor of anthropological, cultural, and religious studies at IES Abroad in Barcelona, and a research associate at the Smithsonian Center for Folklife and Cultural Heritage. Tom Newhouse is the owner-principal of Thomas J. Newhouse Design, an industrial design consulting firm located here in Western Michigan. Tom is a West Michigan Sustainable Business Forum Hall of Famer, lecturer, and designer with an emphasis on environmentally sustainable design practices. Nathan Shedroff is a professor at California College of the Arts in San Francisco, where he founded the groundbreaking MBA in Design Strategy program. He is also an author, a serial entrepreneur, and a pioneer in experience design, interaction design, and information design, who researches, speaks, and teaches internationally. BK Singh, the co-founder of Green Roots Consultants and former professor of soil science and plant nutrition at Earth University in Costa Rica. He was one of the lead scientists in MasterCard Foundation's grant to develop global masters in health and sustainable development, and one of the principal investigators in the US Department of Energy-funded biofuel project. He has developed, registered, and introduced over 25 products in international markets to improve soil plant health, water purification, and public sanitation. Bill Stow of Bill Stow LLC is the founder of Sustainable Research Group, now Foresight Management, and the West Michigan Sustainable Business Forum. With over 40 years of experience working on environmental and sustainable business issues in a variety of capacities for nonprofits, private manufacturers, consulting firms, and more. He currently provides strategic advice to management teams on sustainable business practices. Joe Williams is a circular economy learning consultant based in the UK, running classes and workshops for various clients and business executives. Having worked for the Ellen MacArthur Foundation for 8 years, Joe set up the world's first circular economy fellowship program and is now a senior tutor for the University of Exeter's Circular Economy Masterclass. Please welcome to all of our judges. We would also like to recognize this year's preliminary judges, increased from 10 to 15 this year, who were key in reviewing teams' work throughout the first phase. If you're here in the audience, please stand so we can say hello. The 5 new judges welcomed this year are Yumi Jakobic of Grand Valley State University, Fernando Ramirez of Common Object Studio, Deborah Steckety, formerly of Aquinas College, Audrey Whaling of Michigan Green Building Collaborative, and Grand Rapids City Commissioner Melinda Yasasi of GROW. And for the returning judges, we welcome back Janan Cotto of First Children's Finance, Michelle Sapala-Gibbs of Hope College, John Kinch of Michigan Energy Options, Mary Ellen Micah of Steelcase, Wendy Ogilvy of Natural Resource Connections, Stephanie Ogren of the Grand Rapids Public Museum, Lisa Oliver King of Our Kitchen Table, David Renard, formerly of Steelcase, Wendy Schlett of Foresight Management, Kristen Wieland of Resource Recycling Systems. All of our judges have been instrumental in making Wege Prize 2025 a meaningful and memorable experience for all of our participants. Thank you. And now it's time for our finalist teams to share their ideas with the world. Following the presentations, we will be awarding $65,000 in total cash prizes to these teams, with the idea inspiring the greatest hope for real-world success, taking home first place and $30,000. Each finalist team has designated one member to present. And due to some unexpected travel issues, one of our teams will be presenting virtually. All presenters will have 10 minutes to outline their team's solution in its entirety, followed by a 10-minute Q&A session with the judges. That's my favorite part. Presenters, you will hear the following warning sign when you have 1 minute left. The same sound will be played again when your time is up. And now for our first team, Dry Fresh Solution. Presenting virtually from Rwanda is Marie Merci Chirimpundu from Rwanda, studying conservation agriculture at Rwanda Institute for Conservation Agriculture. Merci, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us virtually. We're looking forward to your presentation. Are you ready today?
More than ready.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, well, all right, the stage is yours. Take it away and good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So imagine growing sweet trees, pineapples, only to watch them rotting without reaching the market. That's the harsh reality to Rwandan farmers today. But what if one eco-friendly, sustainable solution can help to cure that forever? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marie Merci Chirimpundu, and I'm on behalf of Dry Fresh Solution, where here I'm going to share about our solution. It's not only a mobile solar dehydrator, but also we strive to turn waste into wealth, where we strive to empower Rwandan farmers and building a sustainable agriculture for future Rwanda. Allow me to start talking about Rwandan agriculture, a sector that contributes to 25% of Rwandan GDP and employs over 64% of the country's population. Allow me to narrow it down into fruits and vegetables, where it contributes to 5.5% of the national GDP. Rwanda produces over 2 million tons of fruits and 1.2 million tons of vegetables annually. However, up to 40% of this is lost due to post-harvest issues, losses occurring mainly during the peak harvest season. The main causes of post-harvest losses are lack of effective preservation methods, where people don't know how to preserve their fruits and vegetables, or even don't have the way to preserve their fruits and vegetables, and the response before reaching the market, where people don't have the means to transport their produce to the market. Let's zoom in a little to pineapple production, where over 10,000 farmers are involved in this production, and in 2021, 23,500 metric tons were produced. However, in the same year, 45% of this produce was lost due to post-harvest losses. To understand this, me and my team, the Dry Fresh Solution, decided to approach this farmer called Jean Bosco. He's supposed to be an exemplary farmer to all of them because he harvests around 16 tons of pineapples per year. However, he still looks the same. He's still unable to pay for his kids' financial needs like school fees, the medical care, and everything. And we approached him and asking him, why are you still poor? Why we produce a lot of pineapples? And he said in a pained voice, this year I lost 8 tons of pineapples. This happened because he's trying to look for the market, and without post-harvest handling facilities, he lost over 50% of his produce. And this clicked something in our minds and took my team in the action, and that's how Dry Fresh Solution happened.
This is a solar-powered dehydrator built to efficiently preserve fruits and vegetables, holding up to 30 kilograms of the produce at once. The ceramic PTC heaters gently warm the air, while a built-in fan evenly circulates it across the lugs. A smart thermostat maintains the ideal temperature for consistent drying. It is powered by the sun during the day and supported by the battery storage in raw light. Solar panels can be repositioned to follow the sun, maximizing the solar energy efficiency.
That's our solution. Our solution is none other than the solar power dehydrator that dries fruits and vegetables to reduce the post-harvest losses and extends the shelf life. We have tried this to mangoes and pineapples, where we found that between 45 to 55 degrees Celsius is the accurate temperature for consistent drying in fruits and in mangoes and pineapples. This can vary depending on the type of fruits or vegetable. And we have seen that this can increase the shelf life up to 6 months. The materials used in the construction, there is timber and aluminium foils, which are used as insulators, and it is solar powered during the day, and by the time that it is at night or in cloudy conditions, we have a battery backups that can help us to dry even in those harsh conditions. Also, our solar panel is adjustable, hence tracking the sun and maximizing the energy efficiency. We have a smart thermostat which helps us to calibrate the temperature that we need to consistently dry the produce. So why the rental mobile model? We all know that the fruits and vegetables are one of the most delicate perishable produce. Hence, when farmers are transporting from a very long distance without accurate transporting methods, there is the losses. Since we are trying to reduce those losses, we decided that we would take the dehydrator to the farm so that we can reduce up to zero those losses encountered within the transport. Also, the farmers are unable to buy the dehydrators at once. Hence, we provide the service at an affordable price so that they can be able to dehydrate their produce without necessarily owning the dehydrator. So our intended customers are smallholder farmers and cooperatives involved in fruits, vegetables in the Wege district, like Imari cooperatives and Tuzambura, in which we have worked together before. And we are planning to scale up to the whole country, but we're starting with the Wege district. Our business, the dry fresh solution, is not about the solar dehydrator. It's about circular economy action, where through dehydrating the produce, we are reducing the post-harvest losses and extending the shelf life up to 6 months. However, the peels and scalps remaining are processed into nutrients-rich feeds, which are rich in fiber, high in vitamin A, vitamin C, and vitamin K. And recently, we have begun experimenting the black soldier fly farming, where we are seeing great results. This is how we do the fruit. We'll purpose the peels into animal feeds. We take the peels, we cut them, we dry them, we grind them, we package them, and we distribute it to the farmers who need the feeds for their animals. In addition, as we have said that we are experimenting the black soldier fly farming, in only 2 weeks, we get high protein animal feeds and organic fertilizer that are used in the farms of the farmers to improve the produce. So on the pricing strategy, we have made sure that our prices are affordable to the farmers, yet sustainable to our business. The cost, we will be charging $0.28 to dehydrate the 1 kilogram of the produce, and this will help us to sustain our business. Our business is not only sustained by drying services, but we also have the animal feeds that will be selling to the farmers, hence increasing the amount of money and revenue that we get as a business. On the investment part, the payback period will be only in 3 months, and the return on investment will be 62.5%. One of our targeted markets is the smallholder fruits and vegetable farmers, the farmer cooperatives, the agribusiness, and pig and poultry farmers. And one of the key things we have been doing is cultivating the customer relationships, where we are doing this by conducting on-farm demonstrations, giving technical support where needed to the farmers, creating cooperative partnerships, and accepting the feedbacks from our clients on our dehydrator. On our impact, we aim to reduce the 40% of the post-harvest losses, increasing farmer income via off-season sales. And we strive to reduce the environmental impact by reusing waste skills and turning them into animal feeds. And also our dehydrator is powered by solar, hence no carbon emissions. Socially, we are trying to empower smallholder farmers, hence strengthening food security in rural Rwanda areas, and overall increasing the livelihood of the people in the country. On our action plan, the first year we plan on finalizing and fabricating 3 solar dehydrators and officially launching our dry fresh solution and conducting farm demonstration to raise the awareness within the farmers. The second year, we are planning to scale up to more cooperatives and making more dehydrators. The third year, we are planning to improve the dehydrator based on the customers' feedback, as well as building a stationary community-owned unit. This is the stationary community-owned unit that we are planning to make after 3 years so that it can serve as a hub for the people in one area and also be a hub for cooperatives that produce the produce and is produced in one area. On the barriers that we have been meeting so far, there is initial capital where it has been so difficult for us to get the funds to start producing our dehydrators, and through this, we are trying to partner with NGOs, governments, private sectors to try and get funds that can support our business as we are here today. The second thing is farmer awareness and adoption, where farmers don't understand the benefits of dehydrating. Hence, we are conducting a demonstration to build the trust and show them that how it works and that they need it. So why should anybody invest in us? You should invest in us because our business is affordable and eco-friendly, hence zero emissions. Secondly, it is designed for Rwandan smallholder farmer real-life conditions, making it a good solution for farmers. Thirdly, we involve circular economy innovation where nothing is put to waste. Instead, we turn problems into opportunities that can benefit other people. We turn pills into animal feeds that can be fed to the animals.
Congratulations.
So meet my team, the Dry Fresh Solution, a team of young 5 minds that are working so hard to put this idea into action. So please partner with us to build a resilient and profitable future for agriculture in Rwanda. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations, Marie Merci. Great work, especially being the first team up. Way to go. So our judges are going to talk amongst themselves for a few minutes, and then we'll open up the floor to their questions. So you and I will chat for a few minutes while they chat for a few minutes. So while we wait for our judges to chat, Marie, tell me, how did you get involved in conservation agriculture?
So growing up, I always wanted to become a farmer because I was raised in the rural areas, and I used to see the issues that my parents were facing related to agriculture, getting the fertilizers, getting the produce and everything. And then after growing up, I felt like I would do agriculture. And then finally, I became even involved in environment because I was a member of an environmental club in my high school. And then I was like, I want to combine environment with agriculture, hence conservation agriculture.
Good for you. Good for you. So it's been a lifelong dream. Good for you.
For sure.
Great work. Great work. And so what does it mean now to be out of 90 teams, be in at the top 5? How does that feel?
To be honest, it's unbelievable. But again, I believe that we worked really hard for this. And I have seen that hard work pays. So it's really unbelievable that among all the teams we were selected to be in the top 5 and to present on the finals, but again, we worked hard for this,
It's an incredible accomplishment, and your idea is certainly innovative and will help many farmers. So thanks for your passion. All right. Judges, we're good to go. All right, our judges are ready, so we're gonna get to the Q&A. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, Merci. Thank you very much for your presentation. It was lovely. And it definitely shows the work that you guys have done in the last 9 months and maybe more. I have a question about the whole sequence with the farmers. And in your slide and in your discourse, you said that trust was the last thing you were going to work on. And we are curious to know why trust is the last one.
So the like Rwandan in rural areas, they really don't know about dehydration. Like even the market that is there is for people in the urban areas, but in rural areas they don't know dehydration. Therefore, it takes time and takes much effort to to tell people that this could be a solution to them. And I believe that by showing them on-farm demonstrations, we can build the trust that this thing can work and can help us to to preserve our fruits and vegetables and prevent us from these losses. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you.
Hi, sorry, am I going next? Okay, sorry, the microphone's slightly in the wrong direction. So I am looking at you, but I'm looking this way because the microphone's here. Sorry, really great presentation, really loved it. And I was particularly impressed by your thinking around kind of not just looking at one way to create value in terms of reducing food waste through your dryer, but also other value streams such as what you can do with the waste from the waste in a way, in terms of putting that back into the soil. So well done in beginning to sort of build your system and look at ways in which you can actually create different value. On that point, I was just thinking about the design of your dryer and whether you sort of applied some of the circular economy design principles to that as well in terms of, what's the duration or the lifespan of the dryer? And have you designed it in a modular way? How are you going to repair and maintain it? And to also apply things like reducing waste and pollution in your design of the actual dryer. Any thoughts on that?
Okay, starting on the design, I have said that we are using timber and also aluminum foils. So the aluminum foils that will be used, they are not like from the market exactly, but when they are shipping things, there are some things which are shipped in aluminum foils, and we are planning to use those that will be like taken from the wastes from shipping points and use those aluminum foils in our design. Secondly, we have been trying to experiment how can use old fridge parts, because first of all they are insulated, and use of timber and aluminum foils is also for insulation. So we are experimenting how can use old fridges, and we have seen that it can work. So how can use old fridges and use them instead of buying timber and what? Yeah, thank you.
Hello, Merci. My name's Colin. I just want to say congratulations for being first to speak. It's really quite difficult to be the one who goes first and to do online as well. I think you carried it off really well. My question is about the black soldier fly larva. That's what really caught my eye in your presentation, because for me it seems like it's the potential to be the most circular element of your project. But you didn't give it too much of a mention, and I noticed it wasn't in your 3-year plan. Could you tell us what stage you're at with the black soldier fly and why it didn't get a reference in your 3-year plan?
So as I was presenting, I said that we are experimenting it. The first time we were doing the animal feeds just from the waste and directly doing the animal feeds. And now, as we were reviewing the judges' comments, we saw that, why can't you try this? And we're like, yeah, because we're up to the challenge and my team really loves challenge for sure. So we're like, let's try it. And it's been like a month now. We have already done like 3 batches. We bought a few larvae of the black soldier fly, and we tried them with the pills, and it worked well. And we are trying the second time this time. So I feel like, according to what we have seen so far, this is something we can incorporate, and we will incorporate starting from now because it is working. Yeah. So that's why we didn't like put it in the plan, because actually we are already making the feeds, even though it is not on a grand scale. So it's something that is already running.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome.
Merci, thank you so much. Great project. I love pineapple, you know, and I live in Costa Rica, so we are #1 producer of pineapple in the world, so I love it. You had in your data about 30 tons, something like that, of material, you know, available, 38 tons or something like that. 1 hectare of pineapple produces over 70 tons, 1 hectare. So if I look at the scope, it's a pretty small. It's like 1 acre of land, you know, basically. Yeah. It's a pretty small. But anyway, I mean, the project is very important, and it has very big global issue. My question to you is, if you have to summarize your innovation, what you would say? What is your innovation in this area?
So our innovation is about manufacturing or fabricating the solar dehydrator that can help to reduce the post-harvest losses that are faced by farmers in Rwanda. We want to start with pineapples. However, it's not bound to pineapples. We can even dehydrate other fruits and vegetables. All we have to do is just change the temperature and time that something is supposed to stay in the dehydrator. So like our innovation is reducing the post-harvest process through making that dehydrator, which is solar powered, because in the rural areas in Rwanda we don't have electricity, and we have an opportunity because in the area where we want to start in Bugesera, we have the solar peak is 6 hours every day. So like we can use that solar power to make the dehydrator or to run the dehydrator, hence reducing the post-harvest losses. Thank you.
Hello, Mercy. This is Bill Stow. Thank you for a great presentation. I am a huge supporter of what I call appropriate technology, and this is a prime example of being able to solve a problem with what's available. The question I have for you and your team, though, is what was the strategy that you used to decide to go with a mobile operation as opposed to a fixed operation? It seems like there would be a lot of energy used to move your dehydrator from one small farmstead to another.
So as I talked a little bit about in the presentation, I said that the fruits and vegetables are one of the most perishable and delicate products. So moving them, and we have less infrastructures, making it difficult to move them from one place to another. Even on the slides, the farmer Jimbosco, he uses his bicycle, where most of the times the produce is lost without reaching the market. So if you put the stationary or fixed one somewhere, and each farmer is supposed to bring their produce, we might be contributing to the loss that we want to reduce. That's why instead of them transporting in that not good way from the farm to where the dehydrator is, we decided to take the dehydrator from where it is to the farm. However, in the third year, we plan to build the stationary one so that people, if after getting more farmers around the area, we plan to put a stationary one so that they can be able to bring the produce over a very long distance and reduce the emissions or even the money for transport that it will be costing us in these two years. But the main thing is we want to reduce even those losses that are encountered while transporting the produce from the farm to the dehydrator. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, judges, and thank you. Outstanding job, Merci, and Team Dry Fresh. And we'll now welcome our next presenter. Presenting for Team AgriPress is Brenda Mayambi, studying soil science and natural resource management at North Dakota State University. Welcome, Brenda. Welcome. Are you feeling ready?
Yeah, I'm feeling ready.
Okay, you got this.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Okay. Well, AgriPress. We are fighting malnutrition with the 3 I's: insect, innovation, and inclusion. But let's take a quick trip down the memory lane of my childhood. Ignore the chubby cheeks, that's me when I was 2 years old. The next picture is me when I was 12, and the other 20, if not 21 years old. And all through my life, I've consumed ugali. So what is ugali? Well, ugali is a staple food that is made of maize flour, and it's consumed within 20 countries in Africa. It goes by different names: ugali, nsima, depends on where you're coming from. Maize that is used in making of ugali is cultivated by 83% of farming households in Tanzania. Ugali is largely consumed by low-income earners. Why? Because it's easy to make. We need water, the maize flour, and then you have the ugali dough. The flour itself, it has a long shelf life, making it an affordable and reliable food for the low-income families. Nutritional-wise, ugali is high in carbohydrates, which is a good source of energy, but it lacks essential nutrients, like protein. And this is where the problem comes in. Overconsumption of ugali, of carbohydrates, has led to spiking cases of malnutrition, with 23.8% in Tanzania alone. The issue that we have here is a region called Njombe, located in Tanzania, with high rates of malnutrition because people cannot afford to pair protein in the ugali-based diet. Meat, the common source of protein that we all know, is priced at $4 to $9, which is expensive for these families to afford. Therefore, they end up relying on ugali with vegetables lacking essential protein. But Njombe is also a region that is known for its agricultural activity, cultivating maize and cassava in large quantities, which in turn generates a lot of agricultural waste that is either underutilized or improperly managed. As you see in the picture, it ends up being burned, creating more problems to the environment than solution. We have air pollution problems, water contamination problems, and soil pollution problems. And this is where we come in. You see, AgriPress is offering a bag, but the content in this bag is what makes us different from any products you've seen in the market. We aim to incorporate mealworm flour to maize flour to provide a protein-rich flour for the low-income families to afford and meet their daily nutritious needs. Why mealworm? Well, mealworm are high in protein, 20 to 25% protein. They are good for waste reduction, and the waste that is generated by mealworm, for us, is a good supplement for soil health. I don't want to alarm anyone in the audience. Consumption of insects is normal in our countries. How do we intend to do this? Well, farmers are going to provide us with maize and cassava leaf waste, as we saw in the previous waste slide. We're going to use that to generate feed for the mealworm. Later on, the mealworm is harvested and processed into flour. Through collaboration and partnership with farmers, they're going to provide us with maize, which will pass through the AgriPress milling services, and later on blended by the mealworm flour, providing us with the final product, the protein-rich flour, which can be used in making of ugali and other processed products. How many of us are familiar with tortilla or have consumed tortilla? With the AgriPress flour, you can make tortilla, meaning that we hope in the future you'll find the AgriPress protein-rich tortilla in your grocery store. But these farmers in turn get a bonus. You see, they get frass, which is a waste generated by mealworm, but is a good supplement for soil health to boost their yields. We wanted to see that this idea is not just an idea that is good on paper. We went on and carried out a prototype. We had areas that we had our insects, we grew our insects, we monitored their life cycles, we fed them, studying them from the egg stage to the larva stage. We had the adult insect, which we harvested the eggs from, and then we had processed feeds from the waste so that the feed can be digestible for the mealworms, and finally we harvested the mealworms. But we are making food for human consumption, so we have to see that the blending ratios are perfect. So we determined the blending ratios. We finalized the processing of the flour, and we called forth a group of volunteers to taste this flour. But why did we carry the sensory analysis? Well, we do not want to change the eating patterns of people, but rather add value to what they are daily familiar with consuming. We evaluated that the flavor, the smell, and the texture is similar to the traditional ugali. And we had the results. 20% millet flour and 80% maize flour received the highest preference, and those are the ratios that we're working with. We engaged the community. We carried out a sports tournament with the young people in Njombe to introduce the idea of a nutrient-rich protein flour and also to evaluate the demand and acceptability of the final product, which the results were positive. We saw a pile of waste in the previous slide. Milom cannot make that all waste disappear. That's a lot of waste. And the most crucial process in the processing of our miloms is the drying of our insects. Why do we need them dry? So that we can easily grind them, get the flour, and mix it with the maize flour. And the drying of insects requires energy. So I introduced to you a steam heater. This steam heater will be powered by pellets that are made from maize and cassava waste. They'll heat the water. The water will then create steam, passing through the tubes up to the insect drying table and help us dry our insects. The water used in this process is the water that is treated and comes from our facility. Nothing is going to waste. Our initial investment is over $28,000 US, 68.3% of that for our fixed costs and 31.7% of that for our variable costs. And we intend and anticipate to break even in profit in our third year. Our circular economy does not only end in solving the problems of malnutrition, but rather we want to tap into the problems of unemployment in Tanzania, which is 8.7%. We intend to empower women and youth through a stock by credit program. And what is stock by credit? Well, stock by credit, the inventory is given upfront, the payment is done later. How we intend to run is this. Women and youth will come to the AgPress facilities. They'll get the flour, go forth and sell the flour, come back and pay to AgPress, and keep 100% of the profit of their daily sales. But we want this process to run smoothly. So we'll carry out entrepreneurship workshops and financial literacy training to help them with their daily budgeting, saving, and how they can reinvest their profit. We're going a step further to help problems with reducing waste. We'll be using biodegradable packaging, and we'll encourage a refill method for our bigger packages, the 50 kgs and 100 kgs, whereby the consumers will then come back with the bags after they're done using the flour and get a refill for their next batch. Our market strategy involves the community, media, and direct engagement. Tanzania hosts over 200,000 refugees from DRC and Burundi. In these refugee camps, they're fed ugali with vegetables because it's accessible and affordable. We intend to partner with different refugee programs, providing them with a nutritious diet for their daily needs. These people need that. 75% of Tanzanians use public transport. We aim to reach them with our processed products. 90% of Tanzanian public schools serve ugali and vegetables for lunch. We intend to work and collaborate with public schools, providing these children with essential protein for their lunch hours so they can have the energy to go to their after-lunch classes. I have mentioned that ugali is largely consumed by low-income families. We want the product to be affordable to these people, and how are we achieving that? Well, the cost of producing milom is low compared to the cost of producing livestock or any other protein sources. We are located in an area where the demand is high. I just mentioned Njombe. That is where our AgPress facilities will be. Through partnerships and collaboration with local farmers and reusing of agricultural and crop waste, we are keeping the costs low and the impact high. Our impact to vulnerable groups, we're talking about pregnant women, children, refugees, is offering them an affordable and a high-protein flour. To the youth and women, I mentioned the stock by credit, we'll also provide other micro-entrepreneurship opportunities and generate over 500 direct and indirect jobs. With the farmers, we anticipate to engage over 1,000+ farmers by the year 2030. And we want to boost the farmers' income by up to 30% with supply contracts. To the environment, we are transforming crop waste into insect feed, so we are cutting down the methane emissions, but we also aim to minimize waste and create local green jobs. So we have all seen and we're all using AI to ask questions in our daily basis. We intend to do that, to incorporate AI into facilities. How are we going to do that? And why do we need AI? Well, we're incorporating AI in our facilities to help us monitor the growth of our mealworms by tracking humidity, temperature, and feed ratio in real time. But the system will also help us detect any unusual activities and abnormalities to help us prevent losses and optimize our productivity. And we'll be working with Indica AI. So far, 20+ farmers have confirmed and they're willing to work and collaborate with us in this process. These are the partners we'll be working with. We did not get this far by just us alone. We had a team of expertise that pushed this idea and turned it into reality. And we are so grateful for their support to bringing this into life. Finally, meet the brains behind this operation. Thank you, and remember, stay warm.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Brenda. And your team, Team Ag Press, great work. So the judges will talk amongst themselves, we'll chat, and then we'll do Q&A.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
All right, sounds good. So tell us, how did you and your team come up with this idea? It's brilliant.
Most of us have consumed ugali. We're all from the background that we are consuming ugali on a daily basis. And some of us, more than others, have experienced firsthand experience of people dying from malnutrition. And we had that advantage by getting scholarships and going to schools and sit in classes and brainstorm different ideas so we can help our communities, because we saw that if we do not do this, then no one else will. Since we're in 2025 and we're still battling problems of malnutrition, which is not really a good thing.
No.
It's time to take change and, turn things into reality and save these communities.
Good for you. So this is something I'm particularly passionate about as well. Tell me, what kind of feedback have you had from the schools?
So far, they're super interested, and they were amazed because they did not know anyways, since they can't, afford the protein. So they're like, well, how is this flour going to be priced? Well, it's affordable for you guys. You don't have to worry about that. And they're like, but you're adding protein. Yes, we are adding the value, but we're keeping the price the same. So these kids can actually get the chance to actually have the nutritious needs in their school hours.
That's right.
Yeah, and it can be paired with vegetables, so it's a good thing. They get protein, carbohydrates, and fiber.
That's right.
Yes.
Excellent work. Excellent work. Thank you so much for this. Looks like they're still chatting, so we'll still chat. Tell me about your team. How did you find each other?
We are all from Tanzania, and I studied at Earth in Costa Rica, and I graduated from there last year. So we have been together and we have collaborated in so many ways. We have done so many things. We've volunteered with different organizations. Personally, I've worked with an organization that has helped children, providing them with homes, taking them to school, looking for funds to actually give them the education they need, the uniforms and all that. So I've seen how much an idea can turn into reality, and it can actually change people's lives.
Yes.
And my team is pretty much a team of amazing people that are really creative thinkers, and I'm so grateful that we did not give up, and we have been pushing forward ever since that.
Tenacity and passion.
Absolutely.
It's a good intersection. All right, they're all set. Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. That was a fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
A couple of the other judges mentioned it was almost a TED Talk.
I'm sorry.
You really familiarize us with your history and your thought process. It was really good. I just wanted to ask, when you brought up tortillas, I was like, wow, okay. And I thought of well, how many other foods could possibly benefit from a protein-rich flour like this? I thought there could be more possibilities. I know you were running these taste tests and you're trying to make it so that it was much more like the ugali, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So you were trying to keep it in that realm, which I understand completely. You want to focus on one, but then with the creation and being able to be successful in that, what else is possible?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. That's actually a good question. When we carried out our tests in Costa Rica, it's an area that we have people from different cultures and different backgrounds, and we have consumed and shared those same values with them. So when we actually made the flour and then took it to test and all that. So when we made the ugali to be evaluated with people, we actually made tortillas to be tried by the Latin American people, for them to tell us if it's the same, if it has, because we do not only aim to keep the product ugali based. No, the flour can be multi-purpose and it can be used in making a lot of other things. We can make corn snacks, we can make the tortillas, we can make the ugali, it can be used for a lot of things. So in that said case, we are more into advancing different stages in also doing the snacks, things that I just said, and the using of making the tortillas, which they loved it, which is a good thing. And as I said, that will be partnering with different transport systems because most of Tanzanians don't own cars. So we use public transport for everything, for traveling long distance, for going in whatever area. And in this transport system, they're long drives. You need something to eat, something energizing. So in that sense, we thought about that area of market, like supplying our snacks into the transport systems so that they can be sold into people as a symbol of pride for Tanzania, for the innovation, and also providing these people with something that they can actually consume, and it's affordable. So cheap snacks will be sold in the transport system, and the same thing when we are hoping to partner with our own Air Tanzania, the wings of Kilimanjaro, and provide our snacks into the aircraft as well, because they're going international. And if they're protein-based, we all know like most of the protein products right now are priced so high, but ours is gonna be different. Same value with any other protein that you've seen, but the price is very affordable. And we want people to tap into that. So, yeah. I hope that answered this question.
You certainly did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I was really, really impressed. And specifically, I loved the fact of really focusing on a core innovation and then understanding the systems implications of how that is placed in the kind of systems that you're embedded in, whether those are economic as well as social. So very, very impressive systems thinking that is integrated in your model. My question is along the lines of how you see the core technology development happening over time, because there was a lot of different innovations that you saw as being key enablers of the broader picture actually working at scale. And I'm curious if you can really peel that back and think along the lines of like, what are the key stepping stones? So for instance, you mentioned the steam dry, exactly, as well as the AI monitoring, as well as the original kind of like flour prototyping. So if you could lay out a kind of overall set of steps in sequence that you think are really important layer by layer to get to that bigger picture, but first focus on the kind of core bit that you need to do first. That would be really helpful to hear, like how you're approaching it.
Okay, so the core bit of us is, for example, it's the processing of the flour. That is the first thing that we want to get our hands on. Because, you see, people suffering from malnutrition, especially these regions, no one is batting an eye to help them. Want that flour to come out first, for these people to have it first, consuming the flour and eating the garlic, keeping it local at the standard. And after that, we have already done different prototypes. While we're still doing that, feeding the people, then we go to the steps of making snacks and all that. So we'll need also advanced technology like machinery and frying and the kitchen area and all that. And that, we're going to the next step of providing now the snacks for other people to also have access to. And with the growth, we already have a system in place of having the steam heater to dry insect, so it's a process that is running throughout. We have already collaborating with farmers, so we have that security, you know what I'm saying? And with the inclusion of AI, how we met this guy of AI, I'm sorry, but I have to give you this story. A friend of mine, one of our team members, was traveling from Tanzania going back to Costa Rica after the holidays. And this was last year when I was still competing in the stages. And he was sitting beside this guy, his name is Haji, and he did not know that the guy was an AI CEO, Indica AI. So they started chatting, and he introduced the idea to the guy. He said, my team is actually participating in this event, and we are intending to do this and this and that. And the guy was like, oh, I'm having an AI operation, and I feel like you guys can actually incorporate it into your system. We're like, well, we did not think of that. And we pitched back and forth. They got out of the plane, they sat down, keep juggling ideas, maintained contact. Nobody wanted to miss their flights. They maintained contact, and later on we discovered that we can actually use it to monitor growth, the life cycle, the feeding, detecting any anomalies because this mealworm can be affected by diseases. And if that is not catch up at the early stage, then we lose the whole production. So they talked about that. We saw how we can do that. We discussed on different ways and installing sensors into our systems to carry up that process. So those are the things that we are going forth as we grow. And technology is advancing every day, so we are not limiting our ideas either. As it grows, we are growing with it. And that is the same thing that will happen with AgPress in all areas, be it in how we are closing the snacks, being it in how we are writing the name, regardless. But as how technology is changing, we are also changing with it. And that is the mentality that we have. Thank you.
One of the challenges of innovating is that, and especially presenting so clearly, is the moment you're done, it just looks so obvious. So well done.
Thank you.
My question is, has this been tried before, integrating mealworm flour with the maize? And if so, has it been successful or not, and why? And how are you going to be more successful than it's been in the past if it hasn't been tried before? Or why hasn't it been tried before?
Okay. So the integration itself, the blending of the mealworm flour to turn it into to do the protein-enriched flour, it has not been tried before. But the consumption of mealworm has been done. People have been consuming mealworms. We have seen it in different Asian countries and other people just trying to optimize, the resources that we have, that nature gives us. So they have cooked mealworm and used it in different feeds, but not in making the flour. And we saw that as, okay, it's consumed, yeah, but there's something is missing, We can do more than just cooking it and consuming it, which is also good, it's delicious, but we can actually process it and turn it into something useful. So that is why we have done it. And so far, I don't know why they haven't done it before, but we are just so glad that we caught it and we're actually working towards it.
Well, and it seems like you've solved any technical issues with integrating it.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Are there any social issues with integrating it? Will people accept this? Yeah, I know you've prototyped it, you've tried it. Have you noticed surprise or discomfort among people?
No, absolutely not. So we consume insects. My grandmother consumes, it's not a new idea, but the thing is, when we tell people, you're saying, okay, I'm providing you a protein-rich flour, they'll be like, what is in it? And it's mealworm, and then they test it. It's pretty much the same as the ugali. So they're like, wow, I did not even know that there was an extra ingredient in there. But the things that we're going to carry out is having different cooks, like school chefs, to help them, cook the two different types of, they're familiar with cooking ugali and cook these two because they're feeding a huge quantity of students, so they use big pots. So carrying out those kind of interactive workshops with different chefs and different restaurants, collaborating with different people who are having restaurants and having chefs come over, so we can see how different it is to cook for small quantity and big quantities. That is the only thing that we're looking forward to. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you do?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for the presentation. I got a question about your economic analysis. Your feed conversion rate is 1.7 kilo to 1 kilo of protein.
Sorry, what?
1.7 kilo of feed, you transform into 1 kilo of protein.
Yep.
If you do the math, it sounds like impossible, because cassava leaf, the nitrogen content is very low, very, very low. So if you want to make 25% protein from cassava leaf, it's going to be almost next to impossible. So you have to use almost 6 kilo or 7 kilo of feed.
Yeah.
So the economic analysis changes completely.
Okay. So the thing is,
Yeah, no, but you have to feed the mealworms something. They're going to produce the protein.
I understand. So the feeding of the mealworm is not going to be only by cassava leaves.
Oh.
We're using maize and cassava leaves. So we're using the two. And Njombe is a region that produces a lot of that. We have a guarantee of having that much supply. So when we're doing this analysis, we knew that that is the guarantee that we have. We have that and more, you see? And we've seen the waste that is being thrown out. That is the one that we're going to take advantage of. We're reusing that. We're recycling that. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, basically it will be
Yeah.
7-8 kilos.
Yeah, we'll collect, okay, we'll be collecting feeds twice per year, and we'll collect it in large quantities, so that we can process the mealworms, and we anticipate to process over 500 to 700 kilograms of the final flour, so that is the statistics value. Yeah.
Great work.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you so much. Thank you, judges, and fantastic work, Brenda and Team AgPress. And next up, to present for EnviroVex is Vishwa Maharajan, studying biotechnology and pharmaceutical engineering at Carnegie Mellon University. Vishwa, good morning. How are you feeling?
A little nervous, but I think I'm ready.
You got this. It's a friendly panel of judges. All right, take it away. The stage is yours. Cheers.
Thank you. Imagine needing surgery, but the antibiotics no longer work. It's not science fiction, it's happening. We are EnviroVex, and we are tackling one of the most overlooked threats to human, animal, and environmental health, antibiotic pollution. Every year, over 200,000 tons of antibiotics are consumed, and most of it, up to 90%, isn't even metabolized. It's excreted, flushed, and forgotten. But it doesn't disappear. It enters our wastewater system and ends up in rivers, soils, and our food chain. This is the invisible engine which has been driving antimicrobial resistance, a crisis which has taken over 1.3 million deaths per year. This is not just a medical problem, it's a water problem. So, what does the data tell us? In 2024 alone, 119,000 tons of antibiotics have re-entered our ecosystem. And the conventional wastewater treatment plants were able to remove only up to 30% at best. And the impact? Ecosystem damage, delayed crop germination, biodiversity loss, and the rise in threat of resistant bacteria, which could soon make cancer treatments and surgery unsafe. This problem is global, but some places face it more acutely than others. That's why we chose Dubai, where the problem is amplified and the opportunity is very clear. Dubai is a city facing severe water scarcity, high pharmaceutical use, and a rising threat in AMR. And this is not just driven by hospitals, but by the intense tourism and also by the extensive self-medication practices. Advanced wastewater treatment plants like Al Warsan and Jebel Ali in Dubai aren't even designed to handle these pharmaceutical residues. And this leaves a critical gap that EnviroVex aims to fill. In the same time, Dubai is also home to many AI-driven innovation programs backed by Dubai Future Foundation, UAE 2031 vision. And thus, what we implement here could be a global model for tackling antibiotic pollution everywhere else. So let's talk about the current methods that's there in the market. So the current methods fall short. So we have biochar and natural enzymes, which degrade slowly and are pretty inconsistent. And talking about ozone treatment, they are very powerful, but they produce toxic byproducts like bromates, which enters into our wastewater that is put back into the environment. And talking about membrane filtration, it is efficient, but very energy intensive and unsustainable at a global scale. So what about conventional wastewater treatment plants? They weren't designed to treat these residues, and upgrading them is often too costly, and it becomes too complex for the municipalities to prioritize. So far, the policies have focused on limiting the antibiotic use at its source, but they have not focused on removing what's already out there. So we asked ourselves, can we remove antibiotics in a faster, cleaner, smarter, in such a way that we can generate value from waste? We at EnviroWex, from diverse scientific and cultural background, came together to propose a bold circular solution for tackling antibiotic pollution. We designed a three-part circular system, which includes, first, an AI platform which we use to design enzymes which can target these persistent antibiotics. Second, we engineer mirror enzymes, which are more stable, longer lasting, and resistant to breakdown in the natural environment. And finally, we introduce these enzymes through a modular bioreactor, which seamlessly integrates into the existing wastewater treatment plants. So these three components come together to form a system which not only degrades the antibiotics, but also helps recover valuable byproducts from the waste, thus closing the loop between pollution and productivity. So let's talk about enzymes. Enzymes are proteins having specific functions. They speed up the reactions. In wastewater, the natural enzymes break down too easily. So we use our AI platform to design enzymes in a mirror image form. These are right-handed versions of the nature's commonly found left-handed ones enzymes. So due to their structure, this makes them more resistant to protease enzymes present in the environment. So they are more stable, longer lasting, and resistant to degradation. Thus, they keep on working where the natural enzymes fail. That's what sets Envirozymes apart. These enzymes are introduced by embedding on a biochar membrane within a custom modular bioreactor, which fits into the final stage of the wastewater treatment plant. So the process, water flows in, the antibiotics are degraded, and the valuable byproducts are recovered. It's a plug-and-play solution. No overhauls, just smart retrofits for real-world adoption. So our early-stage modeling suggests strong promise for real-world performance. Our enzymes showcase up to 97% antibiotic degradation in less than 24 hours. And we are able to recover valuable byproducts like piperazine, which can be further used in the downstream pharmaceutical and textile and polymer industry. Further, there are no toxic byproducts produced, so no added energy burden as well. Our solution aligns with the 6 UN Sustainable Development Goals, and we deliver strong impact towards public health, ecosystems, and industries. This is not just a tech solution. It's a profitable business as well. We offer a staged business model built to last, $15 per gram of antibiotics treated as a wastewater treatment service offered to the municipalities and wastewater treatment plant operators. We also plan to license our Envirozyme technology and the revenue from the circular reuse of the valuable byproducts recovered. And finally, monthly AI subscriptions of our enzyme design platform to biotech users and academic labs. So we are not just trying to remove the antibiotics, but we also wanted to build a circular solution. So our solution begins with targeted degradation, moves on to recover the valuable byproducts. And further, these byproducts re-enter the economy in agriculture, pharma, and textiles. We also plan to extend this loop by developing on-site wastewater diagnostics for detecting early AMR threats for early intervention. We also plan to forge zero-discharge initiatives with wastewater treatment plants and pharmaceutical companies. And finally, we intend to expand our enzyme libraries to target other persistent antibiotics and contaminants present within the wastewater. So this is circular design in action, where value is generated from waste and water systems help drive sustainable growth. So one might ask, why now? Because regulatory pressure is rising and the innovation is ready. The Dubai Future Foundation, the UAE 2031 Vision, EU Green Deal, and several other zero-discharge mandates are all aligning more towards stronger AMR control and sustainable water policy. So why us? Because we bring together AI, synthetic biology, and modular engineering within a solution which is fast, retrofittable, and impact-driven. EnviroWex is not just a product. It's a shift in how we clean water, how we manage waste, and how we protect public health. So our mission is to tackle antibiotic pollution, to reclaim wastewater as a resource, not a risk, and to build a future where global health, clean water, and circular value go hand in hand. We are EnviroWex, and we are here to turn the tide. Thank you.
You showed great work. Thank you so much. We'll let the judges chat with themselves for a few minutes and get ready for your Q&A. Well, congratulations. Great presentation, so innovative. Can you tell us, we hear that your team has worked together on this topic before. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
We all met together, during one of the iGym competitions. So we had this motto of we wanted to solve something which is persistent in the environment and which has not been looked at. So in the current scenario, wastewater treatment plants and other companies look more towards just breaking down the antibiotics and letting it go. So the degradation products and everything that's there just goes into the environment. So we thought, what are these degradation products and can't we recover them? So that's how we came up with this innovative solution that we can generate a circular economy through this. So then we participated in several other competitions, and we are here now.
Brilliant. It's certainly an unmet need. How interesting. I loved what you said at the end, turning wastewater from into a resource. Yeah, that's really interesting. I haven't heard that before, and it's brilliant thinking. So your team, all together, you're all over the world, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so how have you been connecting?
Well, I should say that this is so today, during Wege Prize, the first time we actually met in real life.
Yes.
So we have been working online through meetings and stuff. We meet over. So that's how we have been working all the time.
That's great. That's wonderful. I love how Wege Prize brings us all together. Wonderful. All right, judges, take it away. Good luck.
Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
It's very high tech, so some of that stuff I don't necessarily understand. But as a designer, industrial designer and architect, could you discuss more the technical challenges of your bioreactor, which must be fairly large, at the tail end of an existing wastewater treatment plant, when these treatment plants must be highly variable in space available? And then how much capital investment are you thinking for that bioreactor, the hardware parts?
Okay. So the model of the bioreactor itself is going to be pretty much constant throughout. The variability comes from the different wastewater treatment plants and the location and the type of wastewater we are treating, and also there are seasonal changes to be kept in check. So that's where we will be developing our enzymes to be more efficient in the wastewater that is we are going to be treating in. So just a second. Oh, can I have the presentation? It's all right. So initially for our establishing the POC, And pilot testing, we require around $140,000. So after that, we have established contacts with Spain government and Dubai municipalities for pilot studies, which they were very interested in. So that's how we are going to proceed further.
So long term, you plan to build the reactors. You'll be a manufacturer of the bioreactors?
No, we intend to, so we design the reactors, and we intend to hire commercial companies which focus on bioreactor building and everything. So we provide the design, and they build it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vishal, for a really, really great presentation and how you're moving really these global systems. Would you talk a little bit more about the business model? We know that the numbers are huge to do what you need to do, but that's what dreaming and doing things is all about. But talk a little bit more about the specifics of your business model, how that's going to translate when you speak to the government. That's one thing, but how does it end up moving through a particular location, through a particular nation, and then also your partnerships. You mentioned country, the national governments. What are some of the other partners that you've also indicated and kind of you foresee that you're going to have to make this need rather to make this happen?
Okay, so answering your first question, so our business model, so initially we would have a high capital investment cost, but over the run, we would generate revenue from not only so as a company, we generate revenue from our AI platform design, which we give it to the biotech users and academic labs. So they use it for efficient enzyme design as we integrate multiple APIs into it. So it's a whole compact system which offers like different sets of information which otherwise currently we have to go through each and everything differently at a time. So that is something that we offer to the biotech users, which in turn helps us, as in it improves our own enzyme efficiency as it trains our model continuously. So we end up getting a larger benefit out of this. And revenue, and the second revenue is from the valuable byproducts that we recover from it. So we focus on the first antibiotic we started to focus on was ciprofloxacin, which is the most commonly occurring antibiotic in the wastewater stream. And it can be degraded to something called piperazine, and this has multiple applications in polymer industry, in textile industry. So that's where we plan to sell this. And we would also be contacting pharmaceutical industries who have like specific quality analysis teams. So they do the quality analysis of the product that we have. So if they are interested, we will be offering it to them as well. So that's another thing. And we would also be doing antibiotic monitoring in the wastewater, which many of the wastewater treatments lack right now. So those data will also be provided to the companies or the other government officials. So, and finally, to certain companies, if they're interested, we will be offering our Envirozyme technology itself as a licensed one. So apart from this, to municipalities and government, we'll be having contract-based. We'll be charging them based on the amount of wastewater that we treat and how much amount of antibiotics is treated. So that's how we generate. And with regarding to the partnerships, so we will be partnering with wastewater treatment plants and initially the government. So right now, we had contacted the Spain government, and they have been aggressively tackling antibiotics in their wastewater stream. They had come up with the National Antibiotic Resistance Plan. So they were ready to include us in their pipeline in the future years, and as well as Dubai municipalities, certain representatives from the Dubai municipalities were interested in our technology, and they offered us space so that we can develop our tech there. So that's what we have.
Thanks very much. I have a question for you. It's in two parts. The first is, have you developed a full proof of concept at the lab scale? So I'm curious about that. I assume it's not yet at the pilot scale from what you're talking about, but it would be really nice to know. how far your prototyping has gone in the lab. And second part is, have you identified or mapped out or researched any potential unintended consequences of these long-lasting engineered enzymes in the water systems that you're talking about?
Yeah. So far we have developed a low-fidelity protein design platform, which is there on our website. So users can access it to design their own enzymes in the D form, which is more stable. So that we have already done. And we have also progressed further with designing the enzyme itself, which we will carry on to the lab scale testing. So that's where we are at, So all the statistics that I mentioned in the presentation were all backed up by research that has been already done. So it's just integrating everything together and bringing it as a real world solution. Oh, yeah, unintended consequences. So the enzymes are embedded on the biochar membrane. So even if they get removed and enter the wastewater stream, since they are D versions of the enzymes, so this is basically like a mirror image of the natural proteins that are present in the wastewater. So the natural living organisms don't interact with the D version because it is something not essentially found in the environment. And secondly, these enzymes, since they won't react with it, so over the time, due to their half-life, they will degrade on its own, and they will lose their activity and stability.
Following up on that, thank you. Do you have an expectation both of how many enzymes you'll need to develop in order to sort of take care of all the various pharmaceuticals that we put in the waste stream, and what time horizon you think you'll be in the lab with those solutions?
So regarding the number of enzymes that we require, so the first enzyme that we have been engineering is focused on lactase enzyme, which itself can degrade 3 different antibiotics which are present in the wastewater. So we are expecting that we would be requiring around 5 to 6 enzymes, but we also have to consider that all the antibiotics are not there in the same levels in the wastewater, and so there are some enzymes that would need more, and that's what we have focused on so far. And regarding the lab scale, so we are actively applying to different competitions and gaining funds. So we plan to invest them soon in this 2025 or 2026 to lab scale, and then we move on ahead to the pilot scale studies in the next 2 years.
I can ask that question. Yes, it was a similar question. Yes, so great. I'm with Tom. I'm kind of bowled over by the technology and not sure I understand it, but the implication of everything sounds like really amazing. My question is, the products that you're getting from this and then being able to sell, and that's the value that you're making and creating from the waste. I'd like to understand a bit more where these are going and whether you've got any concerns about where they are going from a circular perspective.
As in where these degradation products end up in the wastewater?
That's right, yeah. So who are your customers, where are they going, and what are they going to be used for? And do you have any concerns about where those are going to from a circular perspective?
So traditionally, the antibiotic pollution has been tackled in a way that we get all the antibiotics, we degrade it down, and then let it rest, because since antibiotics are not there anymore, so it's not going to create superbugs or resistant bacteria anymore. But what we discovered was some of these compounds can be looped back into the industry. So instead of them investing in more energy-intensive platforms to synthesize those chemicals again, we could just loop back these chemicals with their necessitated grade back to the industry. So we are focusing on polymer industry because that's where most of the degradation products we have identified are used. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Colin, you want to go?
Okay, congratulations, good job. Thank you, judges. Great work, Vijwa and Envirovex. And that's a lot of brilliance to take in today, right? So we'll have a 10-minute break. Let's stretch, grab some amazing refreshments, and we'll resume with our next presenter promptly in 10 minutes. So we'll see you soon. Thanks. Welcome back and thank you. Okay, next up we have Team Echo Nasi. Please help me welcome to the stage Olivia Awor-Okinya, studying International Business Management at Africa Nazarene University. Olivia?
Thank you.
Good morning. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Fantastic. Judges are ready as well. Take the stage.
My name is Olivia Awor, and I'm so humbled to be representing my team, Econasi, and we're on a mission to redefine how leather is produced sustainably. And we're doing this by converting pineapple pulp waste into high-quality plant-based leather. So where did all this start? Exactly 4 years ago, I lost my uncle. He had worked in the leather industry for over 3 decades to lung cancer as a result of inhaling the toxic chemicals used during the leather tanning process. But I realized his case is not isolated. According to WHO, 90% of all leather tannery workers across the world won't live past the age of 50 as a result of inhaling toxic tanning chemicals. So how many leather tannery workers will continue to die before we say enough is enough? This is just the tip of the iceberg. Producing leather is costly and wasteful. 70% of hides are usually thrown away, only 30% gets treated. This industry is the 4th largest emitter of greenhouse gases and contributes to 18% of water pollution. Now, this third fact will shock you. Did you know that to make one leather bag, you require 18,000 liters of water? Yet, in the world today, 2 billion people still lack access to clean water. This is completely unacceptable. But despite all these problems, people still love leather. Cattle populations are increasing with human populations at 3% per year, while demand for global leather goods is increasing at a rate of 7% per year. So desire and demand are not going anywhere, neither are the problems. This is an opportunity. But I know what you're thinking. What about all these existing solutions that are trying to solve this problem? Let's address that. Synthetic leather by far is the most common solution, but it contains fossil-based PU and PVC, which are not beneficial to the environment, while vegetable tanning is limited in scope and is not scalable. At Econasi, we have an amazing solution that comes from nature. We convert pineapple pulp waste into high-quality plant-based leather that reduces water use by 97%, carbon emissions by 95%, and completely eliminates toxic waste. Our proprietary solution is based on bacteria, cellulose found in pineapple pulp waste, and plant collagen. So to truly make a sustainable material, we took inspiration from the original, which is hide leather. So we studied hide leather under the microscope to truly understand what gives it its functional properties. And protein collagen is responsible for leather's quality and strength. So we took this approach in designing our material. So we asked ourselves, what if we can design a truly sustainable material by taking the best plant profiles, molecule by molecule? And we did it. This is our material under the microscope, and as you can see from the image, it mimics leather's close linking structure. To make our product, we are tapping into the over 80 million tons of underutilized pineapple pulp waste produced in Kenya annually. 65% of this fruit is usually wasted during processing and thrown away, releasing harmful methane gases and providing a breeding ground for dangerous diseases like typhoid and cholera. And currently, less than 1% is being utilized, meaning there's enough waste to meet demand 100 times over. Our material is durable, it holds up to industrial sewing, it can be customized into different colors, textures, and patterns, and it can also be engineered into different thicknesses and densities. And this is not possible with a cow. You cannot grow a cow to achieve a hide of any size and shape, but with our material, this is possible. These are some of the product prototypes we have been able to create, and they'll be passed to you in a few minutes, which ranges from backpacks, toiletry bags, watch straps, and notebook sleeves. Like any other entrepreneurial journey, ours has been with its own form of challenges, from the first prototype that we created to the first MVP. The material you see in front of you is not perfect, but it's a step towards the right direction. So when we started, we first thought that we could build a 100% bio-based material with the help of self-coloring bacteria, but we realized that we still need to do more R&D, and therefore we need a complementary dyeing and coating process moving forward. So the coating process that we used at first did not give us the functional properties that we desired, but I'm so proud to announce that we have a partnership with BASF Global, which is one of the leading sustainable chemistry companies in the world, and they'll be sending to us some sustainable coatings and colors to try out. Our closed-loop process is hinged on principles of circular economy. So any waste material produced during the production process is converted into organic fertilizer, which is given back to the farmers. And this material can be recycled up to 4 times before reaching its end life. And once it reaches its end life, it can naturally disintegrate into the soil without causing any harmful chemicals. So we are positioning ourselves as a hybrid of a B2B, B2C brand, and we are targeting the premium leather handbag segment of the market. And this is because they have the funds and incentives to use novel materials like ours. And by 2030, 90% of all leather goods sold worldwide will be animal-free, and we believe we are well positioned for that disruption. Now, our process is scalable. Compared to the 3 months it takes to make other plant-based materials, our process only takes 5 days. And with a licensing model, we can further scale this while protecting our core IP. Now, we are going to compete with synthetic leather, hide leather, and other plant-based alternatives. But what makes us stand out is the use of cellulose and plant collagen, which gives our material the molecular structure to behave like skin, and our process makes our materials slightly cheaper than other alternatives in the market. So we produce a meter of our material at $16. We generate a margin of 47% per meter, and we are aiming for over $100,000 in revenue by 2027. In just 12 months, we have been able to make great progress, including validating our concept, developing our product. We've engaged over 20 fashion brands in Kenya, and we have generated to date a revenue of $10,000 in initial sample sales. The next step for us moving forward is to finalize on our patent, aim for pilot production by 2026. Moving forward, we are aiming for commercial scale production, and by 2028, we want to venture into other industries like footwear manufacturing and automotive industries. So far, we have been able to recycle 1,000+ tons of waste. We've worked with over 50 women in Kenya, and we have a pipeline of 10 farmers across our supply chain who are also supplying us with this waste. So if we manage to capture just 10% of our beachhead market, we will save 95,500 tons of CO2 per year, which is significant. And along our journey, we've been so fortunate to win quite a number of awards from United Nations, Young Global Changes Award in Germany, Harrisburg University here in the US, and this year we were invited to exhibit at one of the largest sustainability events in Paris. Building this solution is a passionate team We have experience from leather science, biochemistry, industrial chemistry, and we have a board of mentors and advisors with over 65 years experience building sustainable materials. And we are backed by some of the notable companies in circular economies like Kenya Climate Innovation Center and Uvu Bio Africa, which is one of the largest biotechnology labs in Africa. So with the $30,000 Wege Prize Award, this award will be crucial to help us scale. So we will finalize on some aspects of our R&D, finalize on patents and global certifications like PETA, and it will also help us to upgrade our commercial facility and purchase some of the machineries that we need, like a hydraulic press and an embossing machine. So I started this journey because I lost someone to an industry that took more than it gave. But I believe with our solution, we can create a world where leather heals the planet rather than damaging it. Thank you.
Olivia, great work, and Team Ekonasi, congratulations.
Thank
great
you.
presentation. We'll let the judges chat for a few minutes. We'll chat for a few minutes, and then you'll do Q&A.
Yeah.
Good. Well, so I read that you have a farm. Can you tell us about that?
Sorry?
A farm?
A farm?
That's what, in your bio? Or in the... Maybe not. That's all right. We'll keep going. The wrong clue there. All right. Well, tell us more about your team. How did you get together? How did you connect?
Mm-hmm. So back at home in Kenya, I'm part of so many entrepreneurship associations and clubs. So in one of these entrepreneurship competitions and meetings, I ended up meeting some of my team members, because when I first started Ekonasi, I was alone, but I needed a team to further build the idea. So we met at one of the biology conferences. So that's how we were able to connect and just sort of build this whole idea together.
It's brilliant, really. It's
Thank
brilliant.
you.
I loved hearing that the material is actually considerably more durable even than leather.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how did that come about? How did you and your team design that and realize it?
So like I mentioned, we looked at the original and we wanted to create something almost similar but more sustainable. So we started doing more research. We started doing more lab prototypes and just building those profiles molecule by molecule. So like I mentioned, the material is not perfect, but it's a step towards the right direction. So we are still iterating, innovating, and building.
I love it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
Fantastic. A lot of passion and tenacity.
Yeah.
I'm sure your family is proud as well, doing that in honor of your family too.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Good. All right. Well, the judges are ready for you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much for your presentation. It's fantastic to see your innovation and work. I have a couple questions for you. The first one is, in terms of developing alternative leathers, there are a few great examples of companies that are now popping up in the space.
Yeah.
In terms of the two that I can see that are related to your technology, I'm curious of what you've learned from existing companies that are there. Specifically, ones that I see are related are Piñatex from Anas Anan. They do pineapple-based leathers. And then the other one, based on your kind of technology or how you're leveraging it, would be Modern Synthesis that uses bacterial synthesis for creating alternative leathers. So I'm curious of how your core technology sits via others that are developing alternative leathers and what you've learned from them or how it's different. So that's number one. And then a follow-up there is specifically, why did you choose pineapple for bacterial cellulose fermentation, given that bacterial cellulose can thrive on lots of different types of sugars?
Okay. So thank you so much for your question. So to answer your first question on where our technology sits and what we are learning from other brands that have gone before us. So in terms of technology, our closest, the closest company that is doing something similar to us in terms of the raw material is Piñatex. And what we've been able to learn from all these companies is that when you're building your technology, it has to be scalable, because that's the only way you can make an impact. And then there is also the aspect of collaboration. So you have to collaborate with different cooperatives. If you're dealing with farmers, you have to collaborate with different industries and manufacturers to ensure that you're building something that can really scale and create an impact, as well as if you're positioning yourself as a B2B company, scalability as well is a great consideration for brands. So that has been the greatest learning.
And in terms of the why you chose pineapple waste for bacterial cellulose?
Okay, so the reason we chose pineapple pulp waste is because it has a very high cellulose content, which we consider as a natural biopolymer. So it's easier to use, and it just reduces the amount of chemicals and that we need in our process.
Can I just ask a quick follow-up there? So Piñatex uses the cellulose directly. What you're doing is breaking it into simple sugars so that bacteria can feed on it and then produce cellulose, which seems that you're doing an extra step in the process, given you already have cellulose in that the pineapple plant is made for you. Why are you breaking it down to then feed it to the bacteria? What's the choice there in terms of how you use it?
Okay, so the choice is so that we can be able to control different checkpoints in terms of how we want the material to behave and the final outcome. Yeah.
Thank you, that's helpful.
Yes, thank you. My question is regarding, again, it's coming back to pineapple, I love it. So I was looking at your picture, the diagram, the steps, and I can see the pulp. That's what you were talking about, the pulp, which comes from the skin of the fruit, and it has lots of sugar in it, and very little cellulose. The cellulose, the pineapple leaves are very high in cellulose content, and they are waste, just they are everywhere, and about 140 tons per hectare. And it's very easy to collect, it's right there, they are in the field, So again, using just the fruit peel, it's gonna be pretty tough, even to find them, collect them, when you have cellulose right there, So again, your economic feasibility of your study, you think will be much better, maybe, if you use cellulose from the leaves.
So using cellulose from the leaves vis-a-vis the pulp, is that like your question, if I've understood well?
No, again, going back to, you have very little cellulose content in pineapple peels, which comes from the fruit, if I see your picture, And it's gonna be pretty tough. It's a hard process, costly process, like 2 steps or more involved. But still you choose to do that, instead of going to just cellulose directly from the leaves, which is a lot and very cheap and just everywhere. What are the reasons,
Okay, so we chose the pineapple pulp because it's readily available compared to the leaves, because for the leaves we'll have to do a lot of work, especially in like collecting, and especially like if we're looking at it at a large scale. And for some of these leaves, they're actually replanted. Like after the harvesting season, these leaves are usually replanted. So pineapple pulp was just an easier option to work with compared to the leaves.
Okay,
Olivia, thank you for your presentation. And an industry that takes lives certainly takes more than it gives. My question is, do you foresee the creation of employment? In other words, would you be able to employ your uncle in the making of this product, should, if he was still alive?
Yes, definitely there's an aspect of employment right from the point of collecting this waste from markets and to the point of processing. So there's an aspect of employment. And yes, if my uncle was still alive, I will definitely employ him, because this is a process that doesn't use heavy and toxic metals and chemicals. So yes, definitely.
But would his skills from before be able to translate into what you're doing, or are you planning on creating training programs, or does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, I've understood your question. Yeah, so definitely a bit of skills training is required, but it's not very different from leather, because we are just taking inspiration from the original. So the process won't be too different.
Thank you.
Hi, Olivia. Welcome to the Wege Prize.
Thank you.
I'd like to compliment you and your team on the excellent competitor analysis that you've done of all the different kinds of competitors you have. One of the things that struck me during the initial review, and a lot of the judges, was the innovation of being able to create your own colors for the...
Yeah.
So you've run into some technical difficulties, and you partnered with BASF. I learned today. Can you explain, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to work with a global provider, but what did your team see in the sustainability and the circularity of the BASF product?
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, when we first started and we were experimenting with the bacterial pigments, we realized that it was very patchy and it wasn't like spreading evenly throughout the material. So our analysis was that we still needed to do more R&D, but it's not something that is scalable as of right now. So that is why we reached out to BASF, which manufactures a lot of sustainable pigments and coatings, just to complement our dyeing and coating process. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Olivia. Great job, by the way. One of the things is, as you have created this new material, are you going to be selling in your B2B strategy? Is that to the houses that will do upmarket in terms of their marketing? In other words, these prestige brands, will it end up in a Louis Vuitton house? Is it that because they're sold on leather? Those types of things. And while that might be very difficult, are you going to ask your B2B customers to sell it to the more, the higher price point, or to more the middle band of the market?
So please rephrase your question.
As your product that you make, and you talked about your B2B strategy, your business-to-business strategy, are you hoping that those customers will then sell to more the higher price point markets, or do you have a preference, or just more to mainstream market? What is your preference in that, and how you're going to position this in the market?
Okay, so mainly we are aiming for like the mainstream market. Yeah, not like the high end. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, judges. Thank you, Olivia. Great work. Good job. Thank you. Great work, Olivia and Team Ekonasi. All right, everybody, we have just one finalist team left. And presenting for Team Rethread Africa is Charles Oyamo, studying development communication at the University of Nairobi in Kenya. You've been waiting so patiently, Charles. Come on up.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. How are you feeling today?
I'm excited, nervous. I'm the only thing standing between you and lunch, so.
Well, we're very much looking forward to your presentation.
Awesome,
yes.
thank you.
Good luck to you.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks.
So hi, everyone. My name is Charles from Rethread Africa. And at Rethread, we are building the future of sustainable materials. So who is certain, with absolute certainty, where their clothes end up at the end of life? Who knows for certain where their clothes end up at the end of life? Okay. I think around 2 people. So instead of telling you, let me show you.
This is Dandora Dump Site, East Africa's largest landfill and the final destination for much of the world's fashion waste. The fashion industry is producing more clothes than ever before, driven by cheap plastic fibers like polyester.
So that's why we exist at Rethread Africa. And at Rethread, we are on a mission to build a waste-free world. You see, back home in Kenya, smallholder farmers are under immense economic pressure to increase their livelihoods. And these same farmers are some of the poorest people you'd come across. And they can't afford to buy more land or buy more farming inputs and fertilizer to increase their production output. So the easiest way for them to increase the economic output is to simply put in as many planting cycles in a single calendar year as possible. How do they do this? Well, it's simple. The fastest and easiest way for them to achieve this is to simply burn whatever remains after they've harvested their crops. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the single largest cause of greenhouse gas emissions in rural communities, affecting both children and the elderly. Meanwhile, urban cities like Nairobi are choking from the mess that is textile waste. You see, the global fashion industry has significantly increased the amount of clothing production driven by a single material, polyester. And yes, while polyester might be flexible, versatile, and readily available, it is also cheap, and it is designed to be discarded to communities that don't have the resource or the infrastructure to handle this waste. And herein lies the real danger. You see, at dump sites like Dandora, these two waste streams mix, organic and plastics, and they rot together, forming toxic mountains that pollute our soil, water, and the very air we breathe. So at Rethread, my team and I saw this problem, and we asked ourselves a simple question. What if? What if we designed a world where nothing goes to waste, where the leftovers of one process becomes the raw materials for the next? And we did just that. We took sugarcane waste, which is the world's most abundant crop residue, and through synthetic biology, we were able to turn it into a synthetic fiber for the fashion industry. But the deeper we went into this problem, the more we realized that plastics are in everything, and that the real opportunity was far bigger than just the fashion industry. So we turned to biotechnology, and we discovered a remarkable solution in nature, biomimicry. You see, we discovered local bacteria strains that when fed with waste like sugarcane bagasse, are able to convert it into PHA biopolymer, a material that looks and performs just like plastic, but is completely home compostable. No toxins, no microplastics, just organic material returning to soil. You see, this process begins in the same smallholder farming communities that I talked about earlier, where we collect post-harvest agricultural residue. In our lab, we identify, inoculate, We inoculate and cultivate local bacteria strains that break down this waste and produce PHA granules. We then palletize these granules and sell them to brands through their manufacturing partners, requiring no switching cost or new equipment. It plugs into existing supply chain. And we already validated this use case. You see, we began in the fashion industry. And today, we are working with one of the UK's largest luxury fashion brands to replace polyester in luxury fashion and high-performance textiles. But closer home, we realized that while high fashion might rule the streets of London and Paris, back home, the way people interact with plastics is through takeout food containers. And so working with one of the food chains in Nairobi Street Kitchen, we worked through their packaging service provider, and we were able to replace the inner film of food takeout boxes, which was being made from polyurethane. And in doing so, we realized something very interesting, that this same polyurethane is also used in the healthcare industry. And we approached a femcare brand in the country that used polyurethane as the outermost layer for the sanitary towels. And together with Ecobana, we have been able to replace the outermost layer of the sanitary towel with our material, making these sanitary towels 100% home compostable, the first on the continent. Through these use cases, we've already generated $15,000 in signed LOIs, and we primarily sell PHA pellets to manufacturers, to brands through their manufacturing partners. You see, waste exists everywhere, but you don't have the resources to be everywhere. So the second revenue stream for us is licensing this technology or this solution. And we are also seeing an incredible opportunity to co-develop products with our partners, giving us our third revenue stream. As we scale, we increase our efficiency. Right now, our profit margin projections are at about 28% at scale. You see, for every ton of PHA we produce, we divert over 3 tons of CO2. We avoid over 3 tons of CO2, divert over 2 tons of waste. But for the smallholder farmers where we started, we are able to increase their income by up to $120 for every ton of waste we have taken from the farmers. We are building a new economic blueprint beyond plastics, where smallholder farmers can increase the economic output from their farms without the increase of their farm sizes or using intensive farming practices. We are formalizing waste pickers and integrating them into our supply chain, where they help us to aggregate and pre-treat this waste. And in a world where every piece of cloth, every takeout card box, and every sanitary towel is made from our material, landfill simply don't exist. Our team has cross-cutting experience in business, biotechnology, and chemistry, and we've been working on this for a while. We are happy and proud to have a complementary advisory board from 3 different industries with industry depth and experience. We've already learned a lot from our Wege Prize journey, and today we are on the cusp of something truly massive. Over the next 12 months, we're on an ambitious mission to divert over 110 tons of waste, avoid 150 tons of CO2 emission, but closer to my heart is create 10 new green jobs. And we're just getting started. So to wrap this up, my name is Charles. I'm from Kenya. The reason why I started this was because I wanted to help smallholder farmers like the ones who grow sugarcane in my community, Migori County. Today we've done that. We've taken sugarcane bagasse and turned it into a material that can be used in fashion, food takeout containers, and even the healthcare industry. So I'm asking you to join us on this journey. And in case you forget who we are Rethread Africa. And this has been the future, a glimpse into the future of materials. Thank you.
Great work, Charles, and Rethread Africa. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll let the judges chat for a second. Yeah, well, so your team has participated in Wege Prize before this.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, so tell us about that and what motivated you to do it again.
Do it again. This is not the first time we are taking part in the Wege Prize, but every single time we've taken part in the Wege Prize, we've gone a step further than we were the last time. And I think that is hugely from the feedback that we received from the judges, from the preliminary stages of this particular competition, that has helped us, I think, every single year be better, but more importantly, is build a solid business case behind the solution. What kept us coming this year around was not because of me, but my colleague Noreen. I think for me, we tried Wege Prize. There were far more better solutions. We were not ready yet. And then this year, Noreen was like, let's take another shot. So yeah, here we are.
You were clearly ready. Top 5 out of 90 teams.
Yeah.
Pretty fantastic.
Awesome, thank you. Happy to be back.
Fantastic, it's really great. Okay, judges, ready to go? Good luck.
Awesome, thank you.
Hi, thank you very much. And
Thank you.
I really applaud you guys on developing a technology that's super, super important. PHAs, I think, have a major part to play in a sustainable future. So congratulations on the work you've done so far.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions around how you are differentiated or learning from other PHA manufacturers. So we've seen like a really big excitement around PHA technology. We've also seen companies go under in a couple in recent years. So I'm curious to know what learnings you're taking and what potential differentiators. So you talked about local bacteria strains, which I'm really curious about, if there's something particular there on your PHA development. So that's the first question. And then in terms of, you talked a lot about the different manufacturing processes that you are interested in interfacing with. So PHA can be used for polyester fiber substitutes, absolutely, as well as films like the sanitary pad backing, in addition to extrusion for thermoplastics, for instance. So I'm curious, but each one of those processes changes the optimization of your material for interfacing with that. So how do you see your roadmap vis-a-vis investing in or optimizing your material for manufacturing processes that you think are like the most important to specialize in first, given there's huge amounts of opportunity, but obviously the actual development of the material has to kind of choose a lane first in order to make sure that you're fitting in with those manufacturing processes.
Yeah, so thank you so much for those questions, Alyssa. I think number one, I agree with you. There have been a couple of attempts and iterations at PHA as a single-use material. I think some of the things as an industry we got wrong in the early days was looking at PHA as a standalone material. And reality is we've not gotten there yet, so it's not there yet. So for us, we're looking at PHA as a substitute to PLA or other or PU in material use cases, and that's why we have varied use cases. Right now, how we arrive at our end products, for us, we simply make PHA pellets. We are working with recipe from, I think you know Pond Global, from the Netherlands. So Pond Global co-develops our material to the end use cases. So that helps us in terms of the specific material recipes. In fact, if you think about use cases in the fashion industry, in the EU, for example, where we have a fashion brand we are working with, you simply can't label the piece of cloth that is made from PHA because that's not a classification that exists. So we are working with recipes that exist. That's the learning that we are having. In terms of optimization, right now we have very niche partners we work with and very small brands. When we began, we had very lofty ambitions, and we were writing to every big fashion brand we knew, and we realized smaller brands help us go further. So it's very expensive end-to-end for us before we're able to close a partnership. It costs us about $12,000 right now, and that's because we need to test with that particular use case in mind, with a particular brand in mind, instead of just developing. We don't have the infrastructure or the resource to just develop for the market and then throw it out there. So it's brand-driven through their partners. Does that answer the question?
Can I just ask a clarifying? So you said there was problems with developing it as a standalone material. So you're developing it as a blend or as a introduction of an ingredient in a blend?
So we develop PHA as a material, and then we use compounding partners like Pond Global, who then develop end products with it. PHA is still very brittle to be a standalone material. It has its downfalls, which also make it so great because that make it home compostable, shorter shelf life, and stuff like that, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, hello.
Great presentation. I loved it. I think you've slightly or partly answered my question, but I'm going to ask it again to see if there's any more information we can get from it. It appears to me that you've got a really kind of broad base of applications that the PHA can be applied to, looking from fashion industry right through to the medical industry. And I guess it's going to be dependent upon regulations and certifications as to whether the material is going to be able to be applied to those, in particular the healthcare industry, which is really interesting. So I can see why you're focusing on the fashion industry first. And I was just wondering, and I think you might have partly answered this one, but I'd love to hear more about it, is who are you currently working with? Who's really interested in this, and where's the opportunity for you in the next stages of your development of your idea?
Yeah, in terms of material use cases, healthcare and the food industry is still just testing with brands who are willing to take the risk. They are still not commercial products yet. Particularly for the healthcare industry, we might think it's ready, but then regulation is not there yet, particularly for our country. Fashion industry is the commercial ready use case for us at this point. And the ideal client, because right now for us, we have to pay farmers for this waste. There's a cost for production. So any new material starts in high-end or luxury fashion. Before then, we are able to figure out the cost, the cost and the economics, and then it trickles down to everyday use cases. The partners we have in the fashion industry, or the brand we are working with in the fashion industry, is in luxury fashion. So that's where we are starting at. Yeah.
I got a question for you. Sugarcane bagasse is not a waste product. Because there's so many uses. And you use in cogeneration for electricity and heat it up because when you are in the sugar mill, that's a source of energy most. And the remnant can go to composting and it goes back to the soil, So, could you please describe the sugar industry in your country and how you get the bagasse and who gives it to you?
So thank you. Good question. I think it boils down to context. For us, bagasse, yes, sugar mills are designed to use bagasse, part of the bagasse, to heat up their boiler steams, which then runs the facility, right? But then for the partners we have, we're working with a particular sugar mill that's located in southern Kenya. It's called Sony Sugar. And our partnership with them, they produce about 3 tons of bagasse every single day. They can't even consume half of that. So a huge chunk of bagasse remains. If I had the slides up, we had an image where we actually were at the mill, and there's a huge, you'd be forgiven for thinking that's a hill, but that's just piles of bagasse. And what happens to bagasse is, once bagasse has been stored in a huge heap and it gets rained on, it can't easily decompose because it stays there as just a hill. So we get bagasse from the sugar mill. How does then this cascade down to the smallholder farmer? When farmers harvest their sugarcane, it gets weighed. So every single farmer is able to know how much sugarcane did I produce. From the sugarcane, the amount, from the net weight of the cane that comes from the farm, the amount that's used for sugar is about 30 or 33% of that of the weight. Whatever remains is hemicellulose and all other materials, this fibrous material. So yes, in Kenya particularly, there is abundance of sugarcane bagasse. We've seen people use it just to validate that use case. We've seen people try to use it to make ethanol, bioethanol. People have used it to try and make charcoal briquettes, but the waste still exists. There's still a lot of waste that still exists that's presently not being used.
If I recall, you said 3 tons?
Yeah.
But again, I mean, sugarcane production is 170 tons in 1 hectare. So 3 tons bagasse is like 2,000. 1,000 square meter of land.
Yeah. So the average yield for sugarcane in Migori, particularly where we are presently based, is a farmer is able to gain anything from 8 to 40 tons. This depends on the farming practices from their sizes of land. The sizes of land for a smallholder farmer in that particular part of the country is about 1.5 acres, just to create that perspective. So while the farmers harvesting this bagasse, there is a huge amount of this bagasse, of this sugarcane, that the mill doesn't take in because of their quality checks. Yeah. So the amount that ends up being processed ends up being about 3 tons of bagasse waste for this particular mill per day. Yeah.
Thank you, Charles. I just had one quick question as we're cutting down just before lunch.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the fashion industry because I loved your the other examples that you showed us. But now, one question that sort of came to mind was so if you're using it in clothing, the clothing needs to be washed. Like, is it going to break down? Is that what you're still working with the fashion industry in terms of its we want it to break down, but we don't want it to break down too soon.
Too soon.
Right?
Yeah.
So could you tell me some more about what you're working on? Are you going more for, say, like purses or certain things that are of stiffer material? Are you able to make, or are you working toward making something more like a cotton or a synthetic blend?
So the first image that we had on the slide, our cover slide, that's actually a model at Dandora dam site putting on a piece of cloth that's made from our material. So we are making clothes that actually people can wear. That was the first iteration. For the brands we're working with, we've not tested enough to see what's the exact period of time because it's a material blend. It's not purely PHA. So I'm not able to like give you that fact right now and say it washes down. But the percentage of PHA is still about 23% of the entire material composition. So still on the lower side. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, judges. Great job, Charles and team Rethread. Okay, amazing day, right? So it's time to digest all of these incredible ideas that we've heard today. Feel free to head out around town and enjoy some lunch while our judges deliberate. And then we'll resume right back here at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time to announce the winner of the third place and $10,000, winner of second place and $20,000, and winner of first place and $30,000. And for our online audience, that's a little over an hour and a half from now, so we will see you soon. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy lunch. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. All right, now before we celebrate the winners of Wege Prize 2025, I would like to welcome to the stage Tara McCracken, president of Ferris State University's Kendall College of Art and Design of Ferris State University, to share a few words with us today. President McCracken?
Good afternoon, and wow. I'd argue that it's impossible not to hold hope for the future after witnessing what we have today. We hear a lot about rising anxiety and uncertainty in the next generation, but these students and their work have made clear that there is always more to the story, because whenever and wherever challenges arise, there are always those willing to embrace the opportunities they present, to redefine the problem, to reimagine what's possible, and to redesign what's holding us back. But it isn't just the solutions themselves that warrant celebrating today. It's also the process that brought them to life. Behind every project, there are countless unseen hours of collaborating across boundaries, researching across cultures, industries, and bodies of knowledge, connecting with stakeholders and listening to understand, and the seemingly endless iteration of prototypes. All part of a journey defined much more by setbacks than successes. Here at Ferris State University's Kendall College of Art and Design, we have the daily privilege of watching the creative process unfold in real time. Much like revolutionizing the way we produce and consume, it twists loops and occasionally backtracks, but always pushes us forward. It deepens our empathy, strengthens our resolve, and reminds us that we are never alone in our desire to make things that make the world a better place. Today marks the 12th annual anniversary of Wege Prize, showcasing bold ideas for the future on a global stage. With over 1,700 participants engaged from 68 countries around the world, this competition reflects the reality that our capacity for solving wicked problems together is only growing stronger. And it proves that challenges are only insurmountable when we face them in isolation. On behalf of KCAD and Ferris State University, I'd like to thank all of our 2025 participants for their dedication, courage, and passion. I would also like to thank the Wege Foundation, the entire Wege Prize Planning Committee, and our esteemed judges for continuing to believe in this competition and what it represents. And for those students and educators who are out there watching, Wege Prize 2026 is already in motion, and we'd love to see you participate. So stay connected, stay curious, and stay energized by power and possibility within us all. Thank you.
Thank you, President McCracken. Now, before we announce the winners, let's invite some of our judges up here to give some focused feedback to our finalist teams. Judges, come on up.
Thank you, Bridget.
Yes, welcome, welcome.
Okay. I don't think we've ever had that discussion in the judges' room before. Every year is really difficult, and I don't think this is any exception. In fact, I think this was a harder judging sequence than we've seen in the last 12 years. This year, the variety of innovation was so wild, and the depth of process and prototyping, and above all, I think we've seen, I think we're probably in agreement, we've seen the tightest, clearest, best presentations we've ever seen before on this stage, and we're really gratified to see that. That said, I'm going to give some feedback to EnviroVex. I think I pronounced that right. We've never seen this kind of solution before, so we're wrestling with how to evaluate it and how to understand it even ourselves, but we acknowledge the tremendous potential here. Like, this is an incredibly innovative solution, and in a sorely needed sector. That said, as big and varied as the solution can be, because it seems like there's so many possibilities here, it's sort of like a dessert topping and a floor wax. As you develop your products, as you develop the platform, as you have I've already identified so many opportunities for both solutions and platforms, we just want to make sure that you don't lose focus on the circularity that you've started to present to us, that you don't lose focus of the social and cultural impacts of what you're building as well, because it's so grounded in technology, and this competition recognizes that, but we also recognize the importance of social and cultural impacts as well as the unintended consequences, because this is a new field, and as easy as it is to see the possibilities, sometimes it's not as easy to see the consequences. So as you take this out of the lab and bring it into the world, that's what we would love to see as further development. Thank you.
I'm commenting on Dry Fresh Solutions and the solar-powered dehydrator product innovation. I really am pleased that the passion of your team to tackle one of the largest problems in the planet is food waste. It's everywhere. 40, 50+% food waste for the whole planet. So I can't think of anything more important. What I really like, excuse me, about Dry Fresh is the team tackling the products with, and I'm a product designer, with appropriate technology. And servicing the individual farmer. It's not some big centralized thing. Now you even have it on wheels, which I think is going to be, I think your wheels need to be a little bigger than in a rendering, but whatever. So, that, I think that is real strong A huge challenge, but I think you're making good progress. The only negative thing that I would like you to think about is you confused me on the your improvements in the design over the several iterations. Started with waste wood, and then your recent rendering looked like plywood, kind of new plywood. And then, then you mentioned just at the end of the presentation today that you were thinking about refrigerators and black metal and aluminum and stuff. So, I mean, I think you have a lot of challenges to nail down the right set of materials, how it gets built. Hopefully your farmers can even help build them and so on. So just the technical aspects, but I just really love the solar powered. With a little comment on what about the technical breakdowns in the electrical system. But great project, appropriate technology, wonderful.
And I'm speaking on AgPress. And a great presentation, by the way. Really wonderful approach. And there are several things that we looked at and really saw some strong points on. And you really thought about the concept in a wonderful overall way when we kind of begin to check some of the boxes there, the cultural part of it. What you did was really pretty amazing in that you brought together the whole idea of culture and food and the intangible heritage of food, right? And you brought those things together really, really well. And it's something, sometimes it's so subtle that it can be missed. And you did not miss it. And we want to congratulate you for that. Also, you thought about, you considered not just your local culture, your local community, but you also thought about the people that were displaced in terms of the refugee camps there. And again, so the social impact of that was very, very impressive. And you went to the most foundational part of food. If you have a problem with a tortilla, then you've got a problem, right? So you can build up from there. And so we really thought you did that well. We would say too, in terms of encouraging you to maybe reach a little further as you go further into your efforts in this, is consider tracking the impact from the medical perspective, from the educational perspective. How does your innovation impact school children? How does it actually impact, and where can you track the impact that it has on the refugee camps? Also, so those are some opportunities to reach a bit further as you go further into it. But what you have really has a Pan-African application to it. And then when you talked about Costa Rica and having, really served that particular food there, as you worked with the mealworm and people didn't have a problem with that. But you saw application there in the Latin communities as well. So overall, really, really great presentation. You're really looking at a great problem, and you've gone that extra step to really also be concerned about the people who may not be a part of your initial community. So good job.
Thank you. I'm going to comment on Rethread. So really wanted to congratulate you on a very, very good innovation in this space, something that is incredibly necessary and necessary for further support and scaling. So very impressive, the work that you've done so far in identifying a really compelling solution to a global problem. And specifically, some highlights that I want to bring up that we recognized. One is developing a locally appropriate feedstock that can feed the PHA. That's really key, and really want to incentivize you further to invest in those supply chains and ensure that one of the general challenges with novel polymers like PHAs is the cost, the price. And so that feedstock element being local and from waste is a really important unlock to invest in the future. So that's really exciting and promising to see. Second of all, really impressed in terms of your learnings from other PHA companies that we've seen in the sector, specifically looking at developing early partnerships with smaller brands that really shows that you understand a really important pathway to scale up in a much more organic and likely successful way. So that's really exciting. thirdly, other partners, like at the partnership level, developing that partner with Pond Global is really impressive to see. It shows that you really have made massive strides in the last couple years, and you really are on the path to developing a commercially applicable material, which is, again, very exciting. And then finally, your prototypes that you showed us, the actual pellets, as well as the early examples of products, the backing for a sanitary pad, that was really compelling. So overall, really impressive. A couple of notes for improvement. Certainly choosing a first beachhead market that's very clear is going to be likely a key to ensuring that your material is optimized for particular manufacturing processes and particular market applications, and narrowing in on the kind of diversity of application spaces that you've identified, and really kind of developing that sequentially is going to be likely a really important aspect of it. And then further investing in your supply chain and the kind of core technology that you have at the lab scale, and seeing that as it scales up. So overall, well done. Colin.
Hello. Yes, I've been given the job of saying a few words about Eco-Nazi. But first, I'd just like to say that despite only participating online, how much I've enjoyed this entire celebration of ideas, which is, of course, out of necessity, also a celebration of diversity. And it's only, I think, with a diversity of thinking, a diversity of acting, and a diversity of being that we will solve this environmental crisis and other crises for that matter. I think it's worth remembering the power of diversity in these challenging times. On to Eco-Nazi, and Olivia, I thought you did your team proud. A tremendous presentation. You've developed a material that has an astonishingly short production process, and I love to see that development of your product from the ugly duckling to the beautiful swan. And of course, you gave us the vital statistics, which showed how much of a game changer your material can actually be. We were all impressed by the answers you gave in the Q&A, and I guess in particular answers on the material choice and the close eye that you've kept on others in this field. But to bring me back to a theme, we need a diverse range of environmentally conscious material producers. So there's clearly room for Eco-Nazi to thrive, but you will, of course, have to find a way to get noticed. And one question we had left hanging, I suppose, was about the end of life of your material. When the time is right, perhaps we'd like to hear a little bit more from you about how that particular loop could be closed. But from me and from the rest of the judges, thank you very much for your work.
Wow, thank you, judges. Okay, here we go. We would like to take this opportunity to once again congratulate all 90 teams that participated in Wege Prize 2025. 90 teams, incredible. You should all be so proud of your amazing work. And we hope that you never stop building towards a better future for us all. And I was just given the message that never has there been such a level of competition or tighter competition between the teams. And so that really is a reflection on just the genius and the brilliance and the heart and the tenacity that all of our competitors and our students have put into Wege Prize 2025. So thank you so much. Big round of applause. And now it is time to name the winners. So on the screen behind me, you'll see the trophies we'll be giving to our first place team. Now on their own, each individual trophy contains just a few of the spheres that make up the Wege Prize logo. It's only when all 5 of the trophies are brought together that the bigger picture comes into focus. just as it takes the contributions of each individual team member and their unique skills and experiences to solve these wicked problems. Plainly put, we are all better together. And today, we celebrate not just our finalist teams, but the power of collaboration that they have demonstrated. Now, we've only mentioned the first through third place awards so far, but it's impossible to understate how impressed the judges and the Wege Prize team are with each of our 5 finalist teams and what they've shown us here today and throughout this whole competition. Each of these teams have given their all. And on behalf of Ferris State University's Kendall College of Art and Design and its Wege Center for Sustainable Design, we want you to know how much your effort and your ideas are appreciated. So we'll start the award ceremony off by recognizing the 2 teams who are receiving $2,500 finalist awards for being among the 5 teams left standing in a global competition featuring some of the best and the brightest college and university students in the world. This is no small feat. So big round of applause again. So important. And our first finalist award winner today in Wege Prize 2025 is Dry Fresh Solution. Dry Fresh. Our Dry Fresh Solution with us today virtually. Congratulations, Dry Fresh Solutions. All right. And the second team receiving a finalist award today is Team Echo Nasi. Please come join us on the stage. Congratulations, Olivia. Great work. Congratulations. Great work, Team Ikonasi and Olivia. And now it is time to name our third place winner. The winner of $10,000 and third place in Wege 2025 is Envirovax. Team Envirovax, come on up. Great work, team. Excellent work. Congratulations, Team Envirovax. And now, the judges' choice for second place and the winner of $20,000 is Rethread Africa. Congratulations, Team Rethread Africa. Congratulations, Charles. Congratulations, congratulations. Great work. Congratulations. And now, the winner of first place and $30,000 and the winner of Wege Prize 2025 is AgPress. Come on up. Yeah, congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations to AgPress, amazing work. And now we'd like to invite all of our finalist teams back up onto the stage so we can get a big group picture. Come on up. Big round of applause. Let's hear it for this incredible group of students. Woo! Good work, everybody. All right, great work. Congratulations, everyone. Amazing presentations. Incredible competition. Gail?
Wow. Congratulations to you all. I know we just wrapped up Wege Prize 2025, but like President Tara said, we're ready for 2026. When one door closes, another opens. So start now for 2026. We'll begin again to open to undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate students from anywhere in the world, and we'll be again focused on circular economy. So start connecting and brainstorming today, and sign up for the Wege Prize mailing list at wegeprize.org, and for all the latest updates and information. Also, be sure to follow Wege Prize on social media and join our LinkedIn group, where you can begin to network with other potential participants around the world. On behalf of KCAD and its Wege Center for Sustainable Design, we thank you all for coming out to support these students and the mission of Wege Prize. We would like to thank our judges for their dedication and care in choosing our winners and advising these teams throughout the competition. And again, thank you to the Wege Foundation for their unwavering support and commitment to our program. Bridget? Almost.
Okay, there will be a judges forum tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time right here in this room. And everyone is invited to watch the online live stream of this open discussion where we will recap the solutions presented here today. We'll give the presenters a chance to ask the judges some questions, and we'll explore what's next for the circular economy. And for those of you that can't tune in tomorrow, a video recap of the Judges Forum will be posted to the Wege Prize YouTube channel in the coming days. But for now, we thank those of you who've joined us online, and we invite you to stay connected. We'd love to hear from you. For those of you with us here at KCAD, we invite you to stay with us a little longer to enjoy refreshments, network, and most importantly, to celebrate all of our participants. Once again, congratulations to the winners of Wege Prize 2025. Thanks, everybody. See you next year.